Welcome to the second episode of UltraClick. My name is Chris, and today we are going to be talking about email marketing. More importantly, or more specifically, we're going to be talking about email marketing and how you can use that as a reliable sales channel for your online store. No, email isn't dead. It's actually one of the most reliable places that you can get sales and build loyalty with your customers. Let's get into it. It's so common now to see how many times people start saying that email is dead or something has changed or there's not going to be another way that you can get through someone's spam or filters. And in reality, I can't even think back to the first time that I heard that, but I do know that it was related to some messenger program that was starting to gain momentum, whether it was MSN Messenger or AIM or ICQ or WhatsApp now being a huge platform for communication. There's always going to be alternative means to getting in touch with each other. We love to text, we love Slack, we love all of these different platforms. But in reality, it's very hard to get one of them to be as saturated and as accepted as email is. It also gives you the most flexibility when it comes to how you're communicating with people. Very few of the platforms that replace quote unquote email don't give you the opportunity as a marketer and as a business owner to format all of your different messages. Being able to program within HTML effectively means that you're able to craft something beautiful that looks like a landing page that can arrive in someone's email inbox. Now, those emails, there's a lot of different schools of thought in terms of how much is too much, how little, what converts, what doesn't. But in reality, for any of the online businesses that are trying to sell something through their online store, you're going to want to have something that's visually impactful, something that showcases your products really well, gets people to click, gets them back to your store. And the reality is, you can do that really quickly. This video isn't about giving you a particular email software provider to use. We've really used everything, and we don't really have a favorite. It depends on what topic and what need is for the store, and that kind of points us in the right direction, whether you're starting from scratch, whether you have a big email list, and that'll give you an idea of how you can find the right program to suit your needs. The first point that I want to cover is how to get people onto your email list. There's a lot of different ways to incentivize people, but whether it's trying to buy an email list, don't do that. Whether it's trying to get people in based on a contest or a giveaway, that's pretty good. But in reality, the emails that I think can be really powerful for you are people that are getting an honest deal, or you're incentivizing them to convert. Giving them a coupon with a pop-up that shows up on your website 2, 3, 4 minutes after they've been on the site is a really easy way to push them towards the cart and get their email address in the time being. Now, the best customer that is going to buy from you on email is a customer that you already have. And so a lot of the things that I'm going to mention throughout this email video is about being able to convert the people who are already on your list as customers. They are fantastic, and one of the best opportunities for you is to turn them into customers who buy from you frequently. Now, frequently can depend on many different businesses, depending on what you sell and how you sell it and what you do, and the proper timeline in between transactions can vary for any business. But if we look at the regular cadence of people buying things, typically keeping them warm within 30, 60, or 90 days between purchases is about as long as you want to go. Going beyond that doesn't break any rules or doesn't do anything differently, but it certainly doesn't make it easy for you to stay top of mind. So being able to keep in touch with people is really important. Once you have them on your list, having a set and defined way to communicate with them is really important. Now, this falls into two different categories. The first is being able to have content that is automated. And some of these things are built in automatically into your email communication through the cart within Shopify. So when somebody places an order, they're automatically going to get an email notification that shows their order that's been placed, shipping updates if you have shipping integrated with your store. But you can go a step beyond that and start putting in some more automation. Things like putting in a follow-up request for a review a week or 2 weeks after somebody purchases. Being able to look and say, I think this person should be buying from me every 30 to 45 days. So maybe a month after their first purchase, I should send them another email and say, hey, is it time to purchase again? Now, not exactly those phrases, but that's the intent of the email. Another great way to look at it is if you see that somebody is enjoying your product, at what time should you have an email that goes out asking them for a referral or leaving a review or having a social media post about the product that they purchased from you that they're loving so much? All of these things can be triggers based on the transaction date and the follow-up sequence that's happening there. The other automation that you can create are things that are based on the overall order volume. And so this is where you can start incentivizing loyalty. Being able to have emails that are going out, whether you're doing it manually or automated, with specific promotions, specific instructions, or key messages that you want to deliver for somebody who's purchased from you more than once, maybe 3 or 4 times, or specific people that have not purchased from you after they made that first initial purchase maybe 9 months ago. All of these different things can be set up. If you think about each of the processes, they can be automated triggers based on how that customer is interacting with your store. It makes your life a whole lot easier. When you're writing all of them, it never seems like there's a specific time, like the email is stale. One of the best performing emails that I've seen hasn't been edited in 7 years. And it's amazing for getting people to come back to the store, leave a review, and purchase again. And this is something that I want you to keep in mind, is that when you're writing, keep them timeless so that your automation sequence doesn't need to be updated. It can always work and it can always be counted on to drive more customers back to your store. Now, automation aside, that is certainly a bigger topic that I'm sure we can get into for hours, and maybe we'll have a tutorial. Let me know below if you want me to do a tutorial on how we create some of those sequences. The other side is looking at timely content. Now, timely content and delivering that to your customers is when you see these holiday specials or when you see seasonal updates or newsletters that are going out. These things are not designed to be pre-programmed because they're designed to create relatability for what's happening around your customers at that given time. So being able to talk about not necessarily the weather, because you probably have customers in all different regions, but being able to talk about what might be triggered by a current event. Maybe the Olympics are happening and you have some sort of product that's related to that, and you want to be able to reference that there's a particular athlete that just did well because you're affiliated with that athlete. Great, let people know. If it's Valentine's Day or Easter or back to school or Christmas or Black Friday, you've got all of these different things to talk about that you probably want to cater specifically for that email, and it's not something you're going to duplicate into the future. Now, to make these emails easier, it really helps have a lot more content on your site. And by content that's great for these emails for one time is a couple of things. It's really 3 things. The first is having really good reviews that you can build in and include into the email. Things that give you social proof that other customers like the products that you're selling. The second is having blog posts and being able to have existing content that you can share and be able to add it when the time seems right. And these can be things like, the explanation of how a particular customer would be using your product, or a how-to guide, or complimentary products that you can put together as a great little bundle. These are all things that you can do to really grow and expand and have as timeless pieces that people can read when they're shopping for your products, but then drop into the email when necessary. And the third are testimonials. Now, the difference between reviews and testimonials seems a little bit slight because they're both talking about your product and how great they are, but a review is by a customer that has no social presence, no following, no public persona, whereas a testimonial does. If you have this testimonial from some sort of spokesperson, whether it's formal or informal, it can carry a lot of weight with it because that person's likeness being associated with your product positively benefits sales. Reviews are quantity, whereas testimonials can be quality. One testimonial can outweigh, hundreds of reviews. But in certain cases, that can be completely opposite, where one testimonial, 2, 3, 4, 5 doesn't make a difference because it's a product that's for everyday life. And so one testimonial really doesn't carry much weight, but 100 reviews of people saying they love your product can be worth way more. And so that's where, back to the automation sequence, it can be super important for you to be able to update each of your customers and say, share this on social, leave us a review, give us a positive clip of how you're using the product, so that it's something that can really benefit others when they're looking to purchase the product. Next up, how to structure a great email. When you look at what we talked about previously, and I mentioned a couple of different types of content that can be in there and making it colorful and bold, that doesn't necessarily give you a proper structure to follow. But there are a couple of rules that you should include for all of your email communication that you're sending out. The first is personalization. I know this seems like the most simple thing to do because it is a simple click that says, add first name so it says hi Chris instead of just hello. But that's something that's always on the top of my list to make sure that you have the personalization that's built in. Depending on the length of your email, you might want to have that first name tag repeated somewhere below in the body where you're trying to confirm a point. Sometimes it's within the call to action, like, does this sound like a great deal to you, Chris? Or it could be something that is a direct call to action, like saying, Chris, can you leave us a great review? Or Chris, can you do a video that is about you using our product? Your tag for personalization of using first name doesn't need to be limited to the first sentence. The second tip is being able to have a title that allows you to relate to people and get them to open their email. So when you're thinking about the stats of sending out your emails, remember, every time you send an email is being monitored for deliverability, and you actually have a score that's associated with your domain. And this comes down to relevance and overall authority and structure and trust that is being built with people that are on your mailing list. You want to be able to have a list that has a high performance metric, and in e-commerce land, this can actually be really low metrics because there's a lot of customers that may purchase from you once and never need to purchase from you again. But that doesn't mean you can get away with not having a clean email list and not doing everything you can to increase those stats. So the stats that you want to pay attention to, your delivery rate is something that will show how many of the emails are actually arriving to people, and this shows that your list is current. The second is looking at how many of them were opened. Now you can look at how many people will say, look at your spam rate, your tags, and make sure you're being delivered to the right place. But in reality, the open rate is really what you want to be able to see. Once you have your emails that are opened, then you want to look at how many people click through to your website. And that's really it. Having that title is what incentivizes your open rate. And it gets people to say, what is this? Piques their curiosity a little bit. It shows that there's something that they want to read. And so your title being very effective means you have to know your customer. And you have to understand that the people that you're sending the email to, you want to have a title that gets them to open it, right? So this is where email segmentation comes in. There might not be a different body of your email. It might be the exact same information. So let's structure something really quick. Let's say, hi Chris, we see you purchased our product 3-4 months ago. We've been hearing from so many customers amazing feedback. We'd love to hear from you too. Can we count on you to leave a review or share a social post? We want honesty about how our customers are using and enjoying our products, and the honest truth if there's something that you want us to improve. Can we count on you to leave us a review? Thanks. That can be a really great email. But to get different people to open the product, to open the email and talk about that product, you may need 2, 3, or 4 different subject lines that can talk to different customers. We're so glad you're a customer. Tell us more. Can be one that would work for people that have purchased from you once, or the person that you may have had to market to many times in order to convert. There's something that was holding them back. And so maybe that's a really catchy subject line that says, aren't you glad you made the purchase? Aren't you glad you made the decision? We're so happy you did. Another one could be a customer that's been with you for years and purchasing almost monthly for over a year, and you say, your loyalty needs to be heard. Each of these different customers has a different story to tell. Each of them has a positive story that can relate to another customer. And personally, I always look at prioritizing the segment of the audience based on how much you want one more of that type of customer. So if we look at a couple of those examples that I just included, I would much rather have that person that's been a loyal customer and has purchased almost monthly for a year than trying to get another one person that's purchased once and then we didn't see them again. And so being able to write so that you relate more to that person can get you more of those customers because you're speaking their language. But that doesn't mean you want to alienate everyone else. And so within that structure of the email, I think that's really important. You've got the personalization that we mentioned. You've got that rough body that we worked through, that's something that you can incorporate. The subject line really, really matters. And the last part, which was actually in the body, is the call to action. And so in this example, saying, can we count on you for a review? Click here to leave the review. It's very important that your call to action is structured in a way that there's no mistaking what you're asking a customer to do. You want them to click, you want them to leave a review. And if it's in a specific place, like specifically leaving it on your store, specifically leaving it on Google or Facebook, tell them that. So that when they click that link, A, they know where they're going, but B, they know exactly what they're doing. And that's something that's really, really important for you to be able to have a clear, concise, and very, very easy to deliver on your call to action. Remember, the easier it is for a customer to do the work, the more likely it is that they're going to follow through for you. So to wrap up here, I think you've got a great foundation to send out your emails. I would happily get comments and information and details from you. Send me an email and send me your emails. I want to see what you create, and I'm happy to go through, and maybe in a future episode I can actually go through and audit with one of our copywriters from our team of how to improve or give you a huge gold star for doing a great job. So share with me what you create. But before we do that, I want to give you a couple of, a couple of don'ts. But also debunk a couple of myths. So here's into the, if you've got everything you need, you don't need to keep watching, but here are some of the things that, we wanted to make sure we include as the boundaries here. So tip number one in terms of what not to do is link to things on your website. Don't attach them. So as much as you can have images embedded into your email, that's exactly where they should live. They should be embedded in your email. They're technically being hosted somewhere else. And the idea is that you want to get people out of their inbox. You don't want them to stay there, download an attachment. As much as you can have a link that's within a PDF that you're attaching, it's much better for you to have that PDF done as a form on your website that they can fill out or that they can go there and get. And part of this is about deliverability. Attachments can flag a lot of spam filters and a lot of security features that are just bad if you don't see that you're a trusted sender. And so avoid that altogether. The second is this debate between social media and email. And the power of social media is amazing, and your customers are certainly there doing something. But what I really want you to consider is, do you guys remember Vine? And when Vine was amazing and everyone was enjoying it, and then it shut down. And a lot of the creators that were on Vine had nowhere to go. They had to decide where they were going to be. And the really good creators, they made it. They figured out how to make YouTube videos instead. They did short videos on Twitter. They figured out how to have a follow on Instagram. And now we're kind of seeing a rise of the similar type of creators with TikTok because of the length of the video. My point of it is, having followers is amazing because there's people that want to engage with you. But it's not the same as having somebody on your email list. Having somebody on your email list is actually a database that you own, much like your website. You own your website. You own your website, you're renting your social profile, just like you own your database of email subscribers, but you're renting your followers, because technically all of that information on social media is property of the platform and they control it overall. The next no-no is too much text. Keep everything short and sweet, because in reality, people are probably going to scroll past your text and look for the images or look for the deal that's included. And they're going to be looking for the visual elements because it's easier to click on them, they're bigger, it's way easier than clicking on a text link specifically if you're on your phone, and be able to give them what they want, but also have a proper message. And the reason for this is that you having sale 50% off built into an image isn't actually readable by the email program if they're trying to search for that later, and it's much better to have that in the body of the email. But keep it concise, keep it short, keep it simple, give people what they want, and be able to let them decide how they can act and how they respond. Don't send them an email that is paragraphs upon paragraphs upon paragraphs. Keep it short and then get them to a blog post if you do have a bunch of things to say. The next part of it is also looking at colors and brand and images and visuals. Keep it on brand. Remember, consistency is your friend with your brand. And so what looks like your social media following, what looks like your profile, what looks like your website, what looks like your product photos, what looks like your emails should all have some similar elements. And I think it's really important for you to be able to have those things consistent, whether it's just including the same shade of red or the same type of font. It's something that matters because when somebody sees it, they're getting that mental jog of what your brand is. And so being all over the map with your different colors and your promotions is really not a good thing. When you think of some of the brands that are out there, when you see a promotion, when you see an ad, an image, or even the style of photography, you almost know what brand it is if you've seen it frequently without having to actually see their logo. And that's what you want to establish over time, that people start looking for your style and expecting your emails and hoping for good things to come to their inbox. All right, well, in closing, that is it for email. I hope you get out there and start sending amazing emails. Please be sure to click like below, subscribe, turn on the bell for notifications. This is the second of many videos that we have in our series for building the ultimate online store. As an e-commerce agency, app developer, and overall marketing team of nerds, we're out here trying to improve the overall customer experience, and we hope you can learn something along the way. If you have anything that you'd like to contribute or share or have any questions, get in touch with us. Go to ultraclick.ca and send us off an email. We look forward to hearing from you, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.